Hello friends and fellow Antineters. Today in this video I'm going to talk about the index. Here is my index. This is the main index. And a side note, there's also ways to set up like different non-main indexes. Like Lumen, for instance, had an index listed alphabetically of people's names, and he would look it up. I have a few other indexes in my main branch. This is in like the literature branch. I have like, Greek words, an alphabetical list of Greek words that I can then look up. For instance, I guess this one would be, kata, kathodos, kybernets, and there's also a Latin one. I've also have like vocab in here as well. That's a little too complex. I don't want to get into that right now. That's advanced stuff. Today we're just going to talk about the main index, okay? And this is the main index, okay? It is alphabetized and listed by key terms. And think of this as like essentially a map for your Antinet Zettelkasten, okay? So a lot of people get confused. They think that, that these things are like hierarchical, right? Like 1,000, this branch is more important than this branch or something like that. It's not. They're all on the same exact level. And it goes the same even for your cards. Like, this thought is the same as this thought. These are all just leaves essentially in your tree of knowledge, and this is like a branch in your tree of knowledge. Now, the map to this entire tree, like these are just these are addresses. These are numeric alpha addresses in the top right corner, right? And these are like coordinates on your tree. Okay, it's just the location of where they are in your tree of knowledge. Now the map to the location is your index, okay? And before I jump into it, I just want to back up and tell you why I'm even talking about the index. And I'm talking about it because I got an email just last night from Nick, and he is the individual and fellow Antinetter that I that I worked with in one-on-one coaching and got him up and running on his own Antinet Zettelkasten in the previous video. And he wrote me last night and he said, I'm installing in the boxes and it's absolutely great. I'm wondering about the index, however. There's a big colored ruled 4x6 inch index card, and all I'm putting at the top is the letter on the first line and then the topic and its number on the second line. Is there anything else that gets written on that large card? The answer is yes. Any key term, I don't like to call it topics, but I like to call them key terms. Any key term that starts with the letter A, for instance, you put on that card, okay? And so I'm gonna go through right now with mine. This is like the first one I ever started. And by the way, I didn't really know what, I wasn't really experienced when I started doing this, okay? So I'm just gonna do a slow walkthrough and show you how it actually works and what it looks like. So you see in the top left corner, there's A, and it says variance and 1, okay? Now, the letter A means anything, any key term that starts with A, okay? Variance was just something that I was experimenting with, like the term, I don't know, almost a year ago. I've since stopped that, and I don't really use it. I think it's redundant. So that's just an instance of, it's okay to make mistakes in your own Antinet. You can look at this and be like, oh yeah, I remember doing that. Man, it's crazy how far I've come and how far I've grown. And having this adds a unique character to your Antinet that, creates its own personality. So you want to accept it, and you want to be fine with these small little, legacy things that you've created. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is developing your thought. You don't want to get caught up like the digital workflow warriors and, templatize everything and get obsessed with naming conventions and all that stuff, okay? Anyway, I've gone on a rant. Okay, so there's A, variance, and 1. 1 means this is the first set of A, okay? Because and I'll show you what that means in a second. Okay, I'm gonna put this down right here, okay? Here's the second one. It's A, variance 2, okay? And A is a pretty popular term. I've got A variance 3 and A4. You can see I've dropped the variance thing because it's become redundant and I just kind of a waste of time. It's not really that useful, okay? So I'm gonna show you and walk you through how this works, okay? Let's just take the first one as an example. In the top, I have, as you can see, attractive character. Now, across from that, it reads character story. What I'm telling myself is, whenever I think of the term attractive character, I'm telling myself to just go straight over to character and story. Character and story is essentially another part of my index. So it's telling me to go to character, story, and then it says within persuasion, 5225/19. Now, I'll just give you a side note that the term attractive character actually comes from a concept in marketing, and it means that people don't necessarily, they don't follow just products or faceless brands. They like to follow attractive characters, charismatic leaders, people that are actually real. Like, for instance, that's kind of why Elon Musk is the attractive character of Tesla, and he's kind of created a movement, and people, admire Tesla, partly because of the attractive character of Elon Musk. People like that he's so ambitious and wants to, get the world off of a unclean energy source that is scarce and onto a renewable energy source and, electric vehicles, blah, blah, blah. That's what attractive character means. And it's just telling me to go navigate over to the character card to find out where it is, right? And so if I go to the character card, and this is kind of advanced, this is, okay, if I go to the character card, it tells me, where it is within persuasion, which is, mass persuasion and marketing, which says 5225/19. So if I go over to 5225/19, let's find that. (5225/20). Okay, so here's the card. This came from a few years ago when I was reading a book on this. And, create and connect with a character, to these, with these characteristics, right? Make them funny, likable, blah, blah, blah. It's just about essentially the concept of, actually be your true self and, don't be some faceless, boring brand or company, and have the courage to actually get out there and lead, essentially. That's what this concept is. So that's what that one is. The next one, this is an interesting thing. It says adaptive optics, okay? Litref. I used to do these things called litrefs where instead of putting the literature notes in the bibliography, I used to put them near where the idea was. I've since stopped doing that. That's another example of a mistake, and it's fine. It's adaptable. The Antinet is resilient. I don't do litrefs anymore, okay? Those litrefs cards. I use the actual Lumen bibliography. Anyways, adaptive optics, okay? That's a concept in the field of, I think it's astronomy, and it's in telescopes where they basically adapt the heat signals they're getting from space and adjust it so that you can actually properly see stars and the light and anything when you're staring and pointing it up into the sky. Well, what happened is I had adaptive optics here, and then apparently I came upon another use of the term adapt, and so it had multiple entries. Now, what I do is I essentially, with all of these A's, like, you'll see some of them crossed out, okay? What I do is every idea or key term I have, I first put it in this A card, right? And then if I have multiple references in different locations, only then I make that term prove itself and prove that it deserves its own standalone card, okay? So for instance, I crossed it out because adaptive optics, I then came across another, concept and installed a node in my Antinet related to adapt. And so what I did is, instead of having adapt and adaptive optics, I just crossed out adaptive optics and created a dedicated card for adapt, okay? And that's why, if you look in my index, it's full of individual terms. Let's now navigate to adapt. AD. Okay, yeah. So here is adapt, and it's organized alphabetically. So you can see the top says adapt, adaptive, adaption. So I have adaptive optics, which is 3001/1, okay? And it also is in 2425/3. I also have adaption, like hedonic adaption or hedonic adaptation. And let's go navigate over to that. So that's 2405/3. That's in the, social sciences section. So it's in here, 2405/3. Okay, and this is interesting. Even though this is in the social sciences section, I have a book that I read about Stoicism. And from that book on Stoicism, I wrote out, and it essentially reformulated the definition of hedonic adaptation, which it's humans adjust to what they have and become unhappy, and then they want more. So, and then I have another one, I guess. So a term used by researchers Shane, Frederick, and George that revealed humans adjust to what they want. So I had no idea, that, and they start to compile, right? This is from behind that. It's a book from Sapiens. One of history's few iron laws is that luxuries tend to become necessities and spawn new obligations. So you see how I'm linking and connecting all of these ideas. And it's really interesting because it's also created almost like an accident of, okay, well, how can I relate that, hedonic adaptation to adaptive optics? And then I also could find some use and value out of just navigating right around these areas, which, this idea of hedonic adaptation have started to form around, and go through, other related thoughts related to this concept that might be from a different concept or context, and introduce even more breakthroughs and insights and surprises. So anyways, that is a little bit of an example of how the index works. I'll just read some more of these to you. So I have AngularJS. Look at it. It's like I've, had water spill on it, whatever, that's fine, right? It's like all these little things, all these little details, like, okay, I spilled water on it. It has an old outdated term variants that I no longer use. Doesn't matter. It keeps you focused on what really does matter, which is actually things like this, which these are my main notes over here. And I'm, writing my book over here on the Antinet, and it's so simple. I'm just going through my main notes, which I've spent a ton of time, getting my thoughts out on paper and writing, right? You want most of your time spent developing your main notes. Anyway, let's go back to here real quick. AngularJS, that's a JavaScript programming framework for creating websites. There's the Ask campaign, and as you can see, I crossed it out because I've, it's essentially proven itself, and I have multiple references for Ask, right? So I crossed it out and have the arrow pointing at Ask, so it tells me to go and look up Ask. So I'll just show you it. So Ask, Ask campaigns, ask for helps, challenging goals and tasks. So I make the key term if it actually has multiple card links, that build up around it. I create a dedicated card for it, okay? Aging, growing old, 5496, and better health, wellness, 5503, affiliate marketing, 5160, asynchronous. See, these are all A's. They all start with A's. They're not in alphabetical order, obviously, right? But it's not that difficult to just go through. And I actually, let's say you're looking for the term accounting. What you do is, you'll pull up one of these cards and like just scan it real quick for accounting, right? And then boom, you find accounting. There it is, accounting and finance, 5110, or my ideas on accounting, 5110/800, okay? And a lot of people get hung up on, oh, well, how do you do it in alphabetical order, or should I do it in Excel? It's like, no, just do it like this and do it this way. And the reason why is like that whole simple, what was that, like 5-second process of me scanning for accounting also resulted in me kind of gaining in maintenance rehearsal and gaining reverberation and thoughts and reminding myself of, oh, there's appreciation, attitude, or I forgot about that I have key terms for that. Oral awareness, asceticism, ability, like an asshole, goat, grand, maps to grandiose. So basically I look up grandiose, like grandiose narcissism and stuff. And so this whole process, it's like, you don't want it to just be in alphabetical order. You want to force yourself to refresh and remind yourself of all of the key terms you've created. So that's why it's like not that big of a deal. And then the other thing is again, list out the terms, right? And if the terms actually have multiple links and there's, multiple areas in your Antinet, then make it earn itself and then earn its spot as a dedicated card and cross it out, and point to like availability on demand, 5134/6 is a concept. And, another concept related to availability came up. And so I then essentially created an availability card, right? So if I'm just going to keep showing you this as an availability, right? So there's the availability on demand, right? And then there's the availability fallacy, because, two concepts that start with availability emerged, and then thus the key term availability earned its spot to have an alphabetical place in the index, okay? And that's how this works. That is how your main index works. I hope this has been helpful for you. You can have big sections, like this is computer science, the section is 4200. This is the second, note of computer science. The first one is here, 4200, in parentheses 1. So applied computing, data science, and this is all the mapped, branches and sections of computer science. And again, these number schemes, right, like 5200 and all these branches, these map to like, 5200, 1000, 1000 is the humanities section. These map to the academic disciplinary fields in Wikipedia. And I've talked about that before, but if you go to my website and go on letter 1, scottscheper.com, and then check out the first letter, it outlines the whole concept of the academic disciplinary fields to use. Anyway, I hope this provides a little bit more context and information on how the index forms and how it works over time. Any of the key terms that start with A, you put, in the A index entry, and then if it accumulates more key terms and related ones, then you can cross it out and create a dedicated little index card dedicated for that concept. Anyway, hope this made sense and clarifies how the index actually works. Peace and love. Talk to you later. Make sure to like and subscribe to my videos so that you can get more videos when I release new ones. Anyways, peace and love. Scott Scheper, over and out. Bye.